I got another time trial week, so we're gonna dive in and see how we do. All right, so this is my second time doing a time trial week. If you haven't seen the original video or my first one, you can check that out right now, or you can check it out after. But some of the results are probably gonna get spoiled in this video because I'm gonna be comparing and contrasting the two to see how I do in comparison. And basically my goal throughout this week is either stay the same or see slight improvements, mainly because I think the last time I did the time trial week was only about 4 weeks ago. So we'll see how I do. It would be nice to see improvements, but it wasn't like a massive time scale, like maybe a year or something where I've had really good training. But what the time trial week is, 20-minute all-out effort on the bike. There's a 400 meter and a 200 meter time trial in the pool. And then there's a 5K run to see exactly where I'm at, how my training's going, how I'm progressing. And then I think how I do in these is maybe adjusted in my training program. So it's a little bit to see where I'm at, and then at the same time adjust the training program to see if I do need to adjust it at all. And first up on the agenda is the bike ride, so we'll see how that goes. First up here, we got the 20-minute bike trial, all-out effort. I'm not really sure how it's gonna go because last time I had a massive tail crosswind, so that really boosted my time and the distance that I got. So it's not gonna be apples to apples comparison. It doesn't look too windy out, and it's pretty hot right now, to be honest. So I wanted to get out before it got really hot. But my main goal, now that I have a power meter, I would like to hit 230 for the 20-minute segment. I think my FTP is around 223. So I'd really like to improve it and get it better, but I'm not sure how it's gonna go. But hopefully I can get 230 plus. If I can get like 250, oh man, I'd be thrilled. But we're gonna be heading out. I got tri-suit on. It's my first time wearing it. I'm like really tight right here. So I'm not sure if it's gonna help or not, but trying it out for the first time, might as well. So we're gonna be doing that, and hopefully I can get 230 plus. If I can get like 250 for the 20 minutes, oh man, I'd be thrilled. That's huge improvement. So we're gonna be heading out and seeing how this goes. Okay, before I do get into it, I do want to say I think it went really well. Let me get it uploaded. But there's a couple things that I'm kind of upset about, but they're uncontrollables. So the two things, one of them, I think it was a headwind, a slight headwind. Nothing too crazy. And the second one is this stupid farming tractor was causing this traffic jam on the road, and it caused me to slow down, and then I decided to turn off onto a side road so I didn't ruin it because it was right in the middle of my set. So I decided to turn down there, and then I did a U-E to come back out on the road. So just stopping and starting really tired my legs out a lot more. But after I finished, it gave me a notification for a new wattage to new FTP, so I think I did a lot better than I anticipated. I'm gonna look at it right now. So, did I mess this up? What the heck? Man, did I mess that up? I think I might have forgot to hit the lap. Oh, that's annoying. Oh. Well, I don't know how to check it. That sucks. So my watch gave me a new FTP, 207. Okay, so here it is. I got 275 watts for my 20-min FTP. So a lot better than I anticipated. I was hoping for above 230, above 250 I'd be really happy with. 275 I'm really happy with. I was looking at the wattage on my watch when I was doing the segment, and basically what it looked like, I was basically between 270 and 330 for a good chunk out of it, but there was a lot of times where I wasn't looking at it and I probably dropped below, but really happy with that. And I tried to lap it, so it'd be 10 and 10, and then I would just be able to take those two, but I must have messed it up. I don't know how I messed that up so badly. So it's like, it's like the last 5 minutes of that segment. Oh man, I messed that up. But it's hard to compare from this one to the previous one because last time I had a tailwind and it looks like, yeah, my average speed is quite a bit slower than last time. But now I actually have a power meter, so I'm able to track my power, which is a lot better because you can't really track. There's so many inconsistencies with the outside. Like it could be too hot, it could be windy, it could be raining, it could be so many different factors that play into it. But now that I actually have the power meter and I know my actual 20-min FTP or max power output, I got that in there. So that's really good. I guess I just forgot to hit lap on that one, which kind of sucks, but I think it showed 275 or whatever it was. So I'm happy with that. That's really good. And I think that's a huge improvement for me because maybe 6 months ago I was only at 200, 210. Now I'm at 275. So some massive improvements there, but I was struggling. That was tough. So I'm gonna hop on the computer and I'm gonna compare this time compared to last time and just see how it is. It's more so just gonna be the distance and the actual time because I messed up with, I didn't really mess up. I just didn't have a power meter last time to be able to judge it. So we'll hop on the computer and see how that looks. So I'm really upset that I didn't hit I swear I hit the lap button, but I don't know if there's a way and I just don't know how, but it would be really cool if I would be able to segment out when, because I know exactly when I started. I started right at the 8-minute mark and I can look at my speed and it sucks because that's going to be when I'm putting the best output here. And as you can see on the chart, I go up averaging about 27 miles per hour, 27, 26, 26, and then it goes up to about 13 is when it cuts off. So, I mean, my average speed probably would have been up around 26, 27 miles per hour during that segment. And then it starts at that next 5. And then I'm at 23 miles per hour. And that's when I was stopping and starting, as you can see here on the graph, where I had to turn and then I had to get stuck by the tractor. And then I did a U-E and then I had to turn back onto the main road. So there was a couple stops there. But when I look at my last time, the first 10 minutes I averaged 26.7 miles per hour. The second I averaged 25.8 miles per hour, which is what I averaged on the second 10 minutes here. So I feel like it would have been really close, but it's looking like the second 5 minutes of my first 10 minutes looks like it was a little bit slow. But when I look at the graph, that first 5 minutes might have made up for it. So I might have been around the same neighborhood as what I was when I originally did it the first time. But I mean, overall, like that time I had a tailwind I'm fairly confident with like the whole time, whereas this, it felt more like I had a headwind and I was dealing with that the entire time. So you can't really compare it, but like when I compare the wattages, I can't compare last wattages, but when I compare this wattage, I increased like crazy. Like before, I think I had my FTP set to 223. So it just shows that I've been improving quite a bit over the last 6-ish months. So I'm really happy to see that. Really glad that I was able to actually improve there because that was my main thing. I was like hoping for 230. I was hoping I'd be really happy with 250, but here I am with 275. And when I was like 5 minutes in, I kept looking at my watch. I saw I was like in the range of 300. I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm going to be able to crush it. I just got to make sure I'm able to hold on to this. And I was barely able to hold on to it. When I wonder if I can look at my wattage here. Power, there it is. Yeah, I mean, I was going up and down, but like anywhere between 200 to like 350. So I mean, good output. I'm really happy with that, and I think my training is now going to adapt to that. So my training should increase. And I feel like before my easy pace was a little bit easy and it could have been increased a little bit. So now on my rides, I'll be going a little bit faster most likely because of the easy segments. So hopefully that helps in the future as well. A little sucks, but maybe next time now I can actually compare with the power output with next time that I do this, because that's actually apples to apples where I can compare it, and then it's not considering the actual speed because there's so many different variables, as I said, that go into that. But overall, really happy with that and off to a good start on the time trial week. And next up, we got swimming, 400 meters and 200 meters. Hopefully we can do the same and either improve or at least stay the same. So that's going to be next on the agenda. All right, next up on our agenda here for the time trials, we have our swim. We got a 400 meter and then we got a 200 meter. Last time I got 6:10 for the 400 and then 2:59 for the 200. So it'd be nice to be around the same area. It'd be great if I could beat that time. I know when I did the 400 last time, I was trying to calculate in my head that the number of laps that I had left, and I miscounted and I thought I was on my last lap, and I started to try harder and then it didn't buzz or anything, so then I ended up trying a little bit too hard too soon. But I got my goggles this time, so maybe these will actually help, and it gives me like the distance and everything, so I'll be able to actually know where I'm at. So maybe that'll help. The 200, I felt pretty good on the 200. I was a little bit faster on the 200 compared to my 500 yard time, which was back when I was in Tucson, and my 400 time, I was slower than my 500 time. So it'd be good if I'm faster than my 500 time for both of them, because these distances are shorter than the 500. So in theory, I should be faster than my 500 time. So we're going to head in. I'm not going to get any footage of it just because it's really busy and lifeguards and everything. So I'm going to head in and do that, and hopefully I can improve my times here. So I forgot to mention this before I actually went in, but I did something different before I usually swim. I feel like these goggles absolutely destroy my eyes, but I ate breakfast before I actually swim. I never do that. I always swim on an empty stomach, so I was interested to see how that went, and I took an electrolyte before to just try it out, see how it goes. But good news, 400 meter and both 200 meter improved. So last time was 6:10, and this time I got 6:02 for my 400, and then last time I got 2:59, and 200 for this time I got 2:56. So improved for both. Barely improved, barely, but still good improvement, just to see that we're trending upwards, which is good. And I'd like to see the actual overall pace, because I want to see if that's I feel like that might be just as fast as I did my 500, which is good. I don't think I beat the actual overall pace. So either way, I'm happy with that, and I definitely think that these goggles helped out. So they got the AR, and it displays your pace and your distance. So I was able to track that, and I was seeing my average pace each lap, and I'm like, okay, I might be a little bit behind here, so I got to pick it up. I knew where I was at, so I started at 20, and I'm like, okay, I got to hit 19:30 in order to beat that time. So it really kept me on pace, and it's like, okay, now I got to pick it up. I got to really make sure that I'm able to beat it. So that helped a lot, and especially on the 200, because I was inching closer, and I was on the last 50 or so, and I'm calculating how much time I had left until I had to be there to beat my time, and I'm I don't think I can make it. So I'm just starting to push myself even harder, but improved on both of those, which is really good. Really happy to see that. And you're supposed to take a 15-minute break in between the 400 and the 200, and I did this last time. I think I only took about a 5-minute break, so I took about 5 or 6-minute break on this time too. I just don't feel like sitting there for 15 minutes, but really happy to see an improvement in my swim there, and the goggles definitely did help there with my pacing and knowing where I was at, knowing how much time I had left, and knowing if what I had to do in order to beat that time. But I think the hardest one to improve on is going to be the 5K, which I got next, because I went all out for that, and I don't know if I'll be able to improve, but if I'm in the same ballpark, I'll be happy with that, because I think I had a pretty decent time the last time I did that. So next up on the agenda is a 5K. Okay, the 5K time trial. This is the one I've been looking most forward to, mainly because I think it was my strongest discipline that I can do, Biking might be now, but before I didn't have anywhere way to track biking properly. So this was kind of my initial introduction, I guess you could say, to biking, to actually get like the baseline metric. But with the running, I actually did the 5K last time on a track, so I actually have a measurement to track up against. So I'm a little bit nervous to make sure. I will really want to be able to at least improve or at least stay steady. It would be good to stay steady, and I feel like last time I put in a really good effort. So I'm going to be heading there. And I did have two different times from last time. I had the Garmin Strava time, which was, I think, 1804, 1805. And then I had the actual track 5K, which was 1850. So those are going to be the two times I'm going to compare against, see if Garmin and Strava, they mess up the time again. And then I'm also going to compare that to that. And then I'm also going to compare the track time to my old track time. So I got two times I'm going to be tracking it against. I'm going to be doing it's about a 15 to 20 minute warm-up jog to the track. And then once we get there, going to stop, going to rest up a little bit. And then we're going to hit the 5K once we get to the track. And then I'll do some strides on the warm-up as well. And then I'm going to be heading back. So hopefully I'm at least able to stay steady. It would be great to see improvements, but this is the one I'm most nervous about, so hopefully I can improve on this one. All right, I wanted to wait until I got back home so I could look at the results, compare them side by side, because I knew right after I finished it, I had beaten it. I just didn't know by how much, because when I was lapping it every kilometer, I just knew I was in the range of 325-ish to 335-ish is what I thought it was. But when I look here, it looks like I was about 339 on my slowest one. And I knew from last time because my first set or my first kilometer was about 320-ish, in the 320 range. When I actually look at this, it was actually 335. So I'm actually off on what I thought it was originally. But I knew that the last kilometers were up in the 350s. So I knew for a fact I had beaten it. I just didn't know by how much. And then when I look at it right now, I'm just like so amazed at myself and like impressed, because when I look at my average pace, I think it's a little bit off. Like I was saying, there's two different actual times. So we got the Garmin time, Garmin/Strava time, and then I got the actual timed 5K when I lap it every single kilometer. So same thing as last time, I'm probably going to have to go with the actual timed 5K from the actual track, because that's probably the most accurate. So when I do look at these times, I think it's going to be a little bit inflated. So my average per pace might be a little bit higher, lower than it actually is. So maybe it's about 530-ish when I actually look at these numbers. But overall, I do think it was really good. I improved a lot. And the one thing that I do want to point out is how consistent I was with every single kilometer compared to the last time. Because like I was saying, my first kilometer was at 335, so I obviously went out really hard. And then it just completely dropped from there to 345 and then 353. And then I just stayed down there. Whereas with this one, I had a range of 12 seconds. So it's a lot closer and a lot narrower. So I was able to basically maintain that pace throughout the whole actual effort. So I'm really happy with that. And so 1750 is the actual timed 5K through the track. I would like to say it's what Strava and Garmin gave me, but I think this is going to be the most accurate time. And like I was said in the last video, I'm just going to have to improve on it and actually go sub 18 maybe. So I actually hit sub 18. I didn't know my actual time of the 5K when I was actually timing it until I actually finished. So I was like, I don't know exactly where I'm at, but I just know I did really well and I did a lot better than the original one. And I know I really pushed myself, and I was surprised at my heart rate when I did look at it after, because I looked at it briefly and I think I was in the 160s, 170s like after one lap. And when I look at it, I actually stayed really consistent throughout the whole effort. So I was just basically hovering around 170, peaked at 179, I believe. But overall, I'm really happy with that. I'm really glad that I did end up improving on that, because that was the one main one that I was most worried about, just because I think it's probably my best discipline and the one that I actually did properly track. So that's the one I was most worried about, and I really wanted to improve on it. And not only did I improve on it, I feel like I improved like a good amount, like a minute and 5 seconds over, I think it's been about 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks since I last did that. So I'm really happy with that. It's really good to see the progress overall, and especially the consistency throughout that whole run, where I didn't go from like way too hard and go at like maybe like a 320 pace, and then I'm finishing at like 340, where I just like gave everything too early, whereas that's basically what I did in the first one. So I'm really happy to see the consistency throughout it. And I know from like the 3 kilometer to 4 kilometer range, I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I just want this to be finished. And then when I hit the fifth kilometer, when I was going from 4 to 5, I was like, okay, just focus on your form and just try to make sure you're like keeping your form good. And I feel like that might have helped. I didn't really improve my pace from it, but I'd say I stayed fairly consistent with it. And when I look at the videos, I feel like I look so slow in it. And I don't know, it just might be the videos, but really happy with that, and pretty close to going a sub 5 mile. And it made me think, like, if I actually did a mile and a timed mile where I went all out, maybe I would be able to crack 5 minutes. I think that would be really cool, because I feel like I've come so far just with everything. So overall, really happy with that specific one. The bike one, I'm really happy with as well, because I actually got a baseline metric that I can base it off of, and I can go and in the future try another 20-minute time trial. Whereas the first one, I didn't have the power meter, and it was basically based off speed, and I had a really nice tailwind, so it made it look a lot better than it actually was. So now I actually have a baseline for the bike for next time I actually do this. And it was also really nice to see that I did improve a little bit for the swim. That was one I don't really care as much about. I feel like as long as I'm in within a good range, it's the one discipline that you're gonna gain or lose the most or least amount of ground on the competition. The ones that you're gonna gain or lose the most amount of ground is the bike and the run. So with the swim, I wasn't too concerned about it. I was like, as long as I'm like maintaining, if I can improve a little bit, that's awesome. But if not, I'm fine with trying staying kind of where I'm at. So the main ones was actually biking and running, and seeing some really good results with the running. So I'm really happy with that. But that's my second time doing this time trial week. It was fun. I think when I was leading up to the run, I was just like, man, I don't feel this. I feel like it's going to go like shit. And ended up going really well. So I'm really happy with that, and really happy with this week and seeing the improvements there. So I do appreciate you tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.